Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Attorney Rita White. I am the president of the Black Women Lawyers Association. I welcome you to the Wayne County Judicial Candidate Forum, where we have all of the candidates, but for one. As you see in the Facebook, in the Zoom panel, you see all of the candidates present, but for one. I would just like to welcome you again to the forum. I also would like to give you a brief overview. Black Women Lawyers was of the organization. Black Women Lawyers Association of Michigan was founded in 1992. And we've been active since that time. And we really try to push a lot of community, advancements such as assisting children and community members to help fend them and help pretty much defend their rights, such as equal access to justice and fair treatment in the field of the law. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have several panelists answer, all of the panelists answer questions. Attorney McCoy is going to introduce the panelists. I would just also like to also express our condolences to the unfortunate passing of a very, very powerful civil rights leader, John Lewis. He recently passed, unfortunately. That is news that is now have been put out. And we really, as Black women lawyers, we've always been an association that has been very, very in the forefront of making sure civil rights and we always fight for everyone's civil rights and make sure everyone's rights are protected. And John Lewis has been a torchbearer in that in that area. We also have another civil rights leader. His name is Attorney Baker. Can you please put, what is the name of the other?
C.T. Vivian.
C.T. Vivian. He also passed, and he is another extremely powerful civil rights leader that has really pushed the forefront of our rights into where we are today. So we would like to make sure we acknowledge these people and keep them in our, in our minds. And I just really hope we can really push that, push the purpose and the goal that they've been moving to push forward, that we've been moving forward, but still we have a lot of work to do. So I'm going to pass this on to our next speaker, which is Attorney, I believe, Vice President Robin McCoy and Judge Gant.
Well, I will actually, I want to thank you all for being here. Black Women Lawyers has been very active during this COVID, this unfortunate situation. We've been doing Ask a Lawyer. I know one of our members, Tracy Martin and Judge Gant did Get Out the Vote activity. And we also had Attorney Benjamin Crump, the lawyer for George Floyd. We did an interview with him. And as everyone knows, there's a primary coming up on August 4th. There's a judicial race. So we believe it's very important that people get to know the candidates. We did invite all of the candidates to come to this forum. And we have 5 of the 6. We have Nick Hathaway is appearing via audio. I think there was like a technical issue with visual. So, so we do want you to listen. We have questions. And the candidates have said some of them can stay over, so we will try to get some questions from the audience. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Judge Kamisha Gant, who is out of the Oakland Circuit Court, and to do introduction of the candidates and the moderators and the timekeeper, which will be me. So I'll turn it over to Judge Gant.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kamisha Gant, and not only am I an Oakland County Circuit Court judge, but I'm a proud member of the Black Women's Lawyers Association of Michigan. And I'd like to introduce the panelists here today. We have our 3rd Circuit Court out of Wayne County judicial candidates, and that will be Shandra Baker. Please wave to everybody so they know who you are, Ms. Baker. All right, we have Nicholas Hathaway, and I know you can't wave because you don't have any video, but we're waving for you.
I'm waving.
All right.
I'm waving.
Yeah. We also have Shakira Hawkins.
Hello.
All right, we have Mary Beth Kelly.
No.
And we have Frank Simone. All right. Well, I'd also like to introduce the co-moderators for this event this afternoon, and that's Black Women's Lawyers Association of Michigan Recording Secretary Stephanie White. And we also have Black Women Association of Michigan Amicus Curiae Chair Khadijah McFadden. And we also have the timekeeper, which is also the Vice President, Robin McCoy.
Hello, everyone, again.
Hi, Robin.
I'd like to turn it over now so that we can get the ball rolling in this matter. And we're going to do our opening remarks from each of the candidates. And you'll have 2 minutes each to do your opening remarks. And let's start with the first candidate that was mentioned, Ms. Chandra Baker.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shandra Baker. I am running for Wayne County 3rd Circuit Court Judge. I have been a trial attorney for nearly 20 years, and this is a trial court that I'm running for. This is the court where I practice in the criminal division. I have been at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office for nearly 13 years. I had the Wayne Arson Reduction Unit, and what that unit handles is arsons where individuals have been killed or injured, or arsons where individuals have burned their real property in order to confiscate insurance money. And of course, we know that increases our insurance rates as well as the blight in our neighborhoods. And that is the unit that I had currently, but I have done everything from capital cases to high profile cases. And prior to doing criminal work, I was at Miller, Canfield, Paddock and Stone, where I practiced labor and employment discrimination for 5 years. My basic platform is mental health. Having taken over the arson unit, it has become very apparent to me how many of these defendants have mental health issues and there is no place for them to go. Although we do have mental health court in Wayne County, it does not cover everybody with mental health issues. And once I took over arson, I found out that most of these state-run facilities, even though there are some, they will not take individuals that have been charged with arson. And so the court basically has to weigh the public safety with the health of the defendants. And a lot of times these individuals end up in jail or prison, which is not a place that they need to be for mental health. So once I am elected, I would like to be a part of a joint task force to work with any organization to try to extend mental health in this state. This country has an issue with mental health, but definitely we have an issue with the criminal justice system. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if you want me to go through endorsements or anything like that.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
There's a question that's going to be about that. So if we could, if we could move on to Mary Beth Kelly.
Sure. Hi, so I'm Mary Beth Kelly. I'm running for the Wayne County Circuit Court again. It's a court that I've served in many times. I first served there from 1999 through 2010, including 3 consecutive terms as the Chief Judge of the Wayne County Court. I remain, in fact, the only woman in history who has ever served as the Chief Judge of the Wayne County Circuit Court. As Chief Judge, I worked on a lot of issues, including kind of modernizing the court. I agree totally with Chandra Baker's remarks concerning mental health. So improving the treatment courts, expanding the treatment courts, including mental health, including the drug court was a big issue at that time. Improving the jury diversity of the Wayne County jury pool was something that I worked very hard on. I have served in the family division, again, most recently for the last 2.5 years as a full-time visiting judge. I left the Wayne County Court in 2010 as I was elected to the Michigan Supreme Court. It was a great honor to serve on the Michigan Supreme Court, but the appellate practice, that is writing jurisprudence for the state of Michigan, is really not the way that I saw my legal talent, particularly my talent as a judge, being used. I really enjoy running a courtroom. It's the hands-on impact that you can have on families, on citizens. So my platform really is, I'm experienced. I am very committed to equal justice. There's tremendous disparity in the way people of color are treated in our criminal justice system. And it really starts with our juvenile justice system. That's been an issue that I've been very, very involved in. And my record demonstrates that I'm a very independent judge. So again, I ask for your vote for a court that I'm very familiar with, a court that I'm very, very committed to. Thank you.
Frank Simone.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'd like to thank the Black Women Lawyers Association for hosting this afternoon. As I look at the committee that makes up the executive committee of this organization, I know that many of you have been in my office with cases that you have been handled before the Wayne County Circuit Court in the criminal division. I'd like everybody to know, first of all, that I'm first generation born here in the United States. My family were immigrants from the old country. They settled here in 1950, primarily because of an opportunity to work for the McCall Steel product or plant. I think that's been in the papers recently because of the failed site downriver, and Manny Maroon, the owner of that place, recently passed. So they came here in the early 50s for an opportunity. I've learned from my parents that it is important to have strong moral character and values. And it's with that kind of background that I entered the profession of law. In 1986, I graduated. I had interned for a chief judge in Jackson County for about 2.5 years before I graduated from law school. During my tenure with Judge Fleming in Jackson County, I had a wonderful opportunity to sit in the courtroom every day and watch lawyers practice their craft. It was a wonderful learning experience. I saw lawyers argue civil motions, criminal cases, jury trials, evidentiary hearings, and that was really a monumental experience for me in developing my career as an attorney. Once I graduated from law school, I accepted a position in the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office, that is in Lansing. I started there in 1986. I was there for nearly 15 years. And in Ingham County, I knew nobody. I don't come from a family of lawyers. My parents were laborers. And when I started in Ingham County in 1986, I knew nobody. And then it was a wonderful experience to be promoted to chief of the unit there. And then in 2001, again, I was accepted a position in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. I currently hold the position of principal lawyer. I supervise and manage 5 courtrooms within the Wayne County Circuit Court. And those of you that remember Judge Braxton when she was on the bench, in 1 year alone, we handled 2,000 cases that went through that particular courtroom. I have a vast experience. I've been practicing law for over 34 years, and I like to bring that kind of experience to the Wayne County Circuit Court, and I ask for your vote.
If we could have Nick Hathaway next.
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. And I'm sorry that I don't have video of all days for my Wi-Fi to go out. I apologize. But just want to say thank you, Judge Gant, Robin, Rita, and Tracy for organizing this event. So that is my name. I'm Nick Hathaway. I'm running for judge. Tell you a little bit about myself. I'm currently a referee in Wayne County Circuit Court in the Family Division. I work in the Family Juvenile Division, where I've been since 2009. I was appointed to that position. And in the more than 10 years as a referee, I've presided over thousands of hearings in Wayne County Circuit Courts. I like to say and tell people I'm in the trenches every single day. I deal with families. I deal with important issues dealing with children and removal of children from their parents based upon child abuse and neglect. And I see firsthand the impact that judicial decisions have on these families who are dealing with issues revolving around poverty, who are dealing with issues revolving around substance abuse, who are certainly dealing with issues revolving around mental health and domestic violence. And I believe that the past 10 years making these judicial decisions, it's given me the experience to hit the ground running on day one if I'm elected. Prior to becoming a referee, I did serve 5 years at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office under Prosecutor Kim Worthy. And I just want to point out a couple of recent facts that have come to my attention, some statistics that crime rates have been steadily decreasing and rates of incarceration have continued to go up. And when you hear something like that, you cannot simply turn the other way. And if I'm elected, I will not simply turn the other way. I want to be part of the solution. The other recent statistic that I heard is that the largest mental health provider in Wayne County is the Wayne County Jail. These things are issues. These are issues that need to be dealt with. I'm a married man. I've got 3 children of my own, and I want to leave this world a better place. I do my job with compassion, with empathy, and ultimately I care about human beings. And that's why I think I'll be a good judge, and I'd love your support. So thank you all.
And Ms. Hawkins, Shakira Hawkins. I think she's,
Well,
Rita, did you unmute her?
I just unmuted myself.
Unmute
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank the Black Women Lawyers Association of Michigan for hosting this event and for inviting me. My name is Shakira Lynn Hawkins, and I am a candidate for Wayne County 3rd Circuit Court Judge. I was born and raised in Detroit. My mother was a Detroit police officer for 14 years, and my dad worked for Chrysler and was a proud member of the UAW. My first job out of law school was in the civil division of the Legal Aid and Defenders Association. After that, I spent some time at my sister's place. Actually, before I even graduated law school, I worked at Chrysler Financial Corporation in the Office of the General Counsel, and I realized very early on that corporate law was not for me. I have a desire and a passion to help others, and that is what has led me to my current practice as a criminal defense attorney, specifically a public defender. I'm practicing throughout Wayne County. I've been an attorney for 20 years, and I've practiced as a criminal defense attorney for the past 10. And it's that experience in the criminal courts that has led me, along with the current racial and political climate, that's led me to seek this office. You know, we heard a lot of talk recently about implicit bias in government and in medicine. Well, it exists in the court system as well. You know, there's 6 candidates, 2 are Black, and we were both challenged. I don't know who was behind the challenge exactly, but I suspect it was somebody maybe on this very panel. And if that person had their way, there would be no Black candidates sitting here before you today. You know, as someone has pointed out, or maybe they didn't, you know, Black people do not make up the majority in Wayne County, but they do make up the majority of inmates in the Wayne County Jail. And I think that, you know, there's something behind that, you know, and we have to, you can't discredit racism or implicit bias. You know, I think that this is time for more people of color to step up to the table and have a seat and work for change, lasting change, things that actually do make a difference in the lives of the people that come before the court. One of my first trials, I indicated to the jury that our system of justice simply isn't fair. The judge at that time chastised me when she made her decision. She said, you know, Ms. Hawkins says that the system isn't fair, but Ms. Hawkins is a part of the system. And she's absolutely right. I am a part of the system. And that's why I'm running to make a difference. I feel I have a responsibility to change the system and to make it better and to make it more fair for everyone. I think, you know, in America, we have a great system of justice, but it doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't work for people of color. It doesn't work for the poor. It doesn't work for the mentally ill.
Okay, the time is up. And so we are going to turn it over to the moderators. And so we have Stephanie White and we have Khadijah McFadden.
Hello, everyone. So this question is for all the candidates. And the first question is, can you please describe your legal background, your trial experience, and characteristics that qualify you to be a judge? And we can start with Ms. Beth Kelly. You're muted.
Okay, there we go. So I'm Mary Beth Kelly, and my legal background, I think I outlined a lot of my judicial experience in my opening remarks. My legal background, I graduated from law school in 1987. So I've practiced law for 33 years now. Practiced law for 12 years at the Dickinson Wright Law Firm in downtown Detroit. When I first became a judge, I practiced in the family division. And so I did work in both the juvenile section and in the domestic relations section. And I was one of the first judges to start that dual, if you will, role. that exposed me to what Ms. Hawkins speaks of, the tremendous disparity, I think, that exists in the criminal justice system. And I agree with that. And if you just need to walk into Lincoln Hall and look at that facility, I don't think is an appropriate facility to conduct judicial proceedings out of. But my legal background includes both my work at Dickinson Wright, but then 1999, started at the court, started into the juvenile justice system and the domestic relations, and truly embraced it. So I have served on numerous criminal justice reform. It's a huge passion of mine. I've chaired the statewide committee, the Michigan Committee on Juvenile Justice, for 5 years. I served on the federal committee for juvenile justice, but that's something that is that I'm very, very passionate about. Again, I went through my judicial background. Other parts of my legal background include work that I've done as a volunteer lawyer. I've volunteered in many different capacities for persons that can't afford a lawyer. As a judge, I certainly couldn't do that, but at Dickinson Wright, I did that. And when I first left the Supreme Court before I started my arbitration practice, I did that.
Time is up. If we could move to the next question, please.
Ms. Baker, the same question for you. Ms. Baker, you're muted.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Once I graduated from Wayne State Law School, I went to Miller Canfield, Paddock and Stone, where I practiced civil law, litigation civil law, and labor and employment discrimination. So I've done civil practice, as well as while I was there, I did pro bono work. I actually won the 2006 award for the impact on domestic violence for my pro bono work given by the Legal Aid and Defenders Association. Once I left Miller Canfield, I went to Wayne County Prosecutor's Office in 2008. And as I've indicated, I've been there nearly 13 years now. I have handled hundreds of cases, well over 200 cases. And I have done everything from capital to high profile cases as a Wayne County prosecutor. And I indicated that I am currently now the lead attorney in the Wayne Arson Reduction Unit. And I believe I outlined that in the beginning of the segment.
Thank you. Mr. Frank Simone.
Sorry. As I outlined in my opening remarks, I don't think there is another candidate on this panel that can match with me the trial experience that I've had over the past 33 years. Look at, I started as a trial attorney in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office in 2001. Back then, there wasn't special units. There was only a homicide unit and a domestic violence unit. That was it. So day in and day out, when I came to Wayne County, I would be trying a murder case on Tuesday and a CSC case on Thursday. And that was before judges that wanted you to work hard, Judge Jackson. You know, those are the kind of judges when I came on board in 2001. So to say I'm a trial dog, I've been a trial dog. I've tried cases, thousands of cases. And then in the past 10 years, there's not a person on this panel that can match the number of cases that I have had to make decisions on. You know, 85, 90% of the cases resolve in a plea agreement. And that's made, an offer is made by the Wayne County Assistant Prosecutor. And that was me for the past 10 years. So talking about trial experience, I have the trial experience. I know what it is to make decisions and make fair and honest decisions. And that's what my platform is, fair, honest decisions.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins?
I graduated from the University of Michigan, and I received my law degree from the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. While there, I did an internship with the Honorable Judge Avern Cohn at the East Federal Court. He actually did ask me to apply for a clerkship, but at the time, you know, being the child of a nurse and a police officer and an auto worker, not that I had 3 parents, my mom was a police officer and then became a nurse. I did not appreciate the opportunity that the judge was presenting me, so I turned down the clerkship. I did do, my first paid job was at Chrysler Financial Corporation. And then upon graduation, my first job was at Legal Aid and Defenders Association in the civil division. I did that for some time, and then I had an opportunity to be, I've always had a special place in my heart for domestic abuse victims. And I had an opportunity to serve as the executive director of my sister's place, which is a domestic violence shelter in Detroit. After I left there, I took some time off to care for my child. I'm a single mom. And then I've been an attorney for 20 years. And again, as for the past 10, I've practiced in criminal defense. I've handled cases of all varieties, everything from misdemeanors to capital cases. At Frank Murphy, I practice primarily in Wayne County, and I enjoy what I do. I have a passion to help others. I love the law, and I hope that I'm given a chance to help the people of Wayne County as a judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nicholas Hathaway?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So I finished law school in 2005. My first real legal job I got in 2004, which would have been my last year of law school. I was hired as an intern at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and I was assigned to the Homicide Division, working with some of the most experienced and best prosecutors in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Upon graduation, I was ultimately hired as an assistant prosecuting attorney. I did spend some time working in the juvenile division. I spent some time assigned as the prosecutor at the juvenile detention facility, where I was making charging decisions on every juvenile in custody case in Wayne County at the time. After spending a couple of years in the juvenile division, I was moved over and spent some time in the trials division, also the preliminary exam unit as well, where I spent a lot of time working at 36th District Court. I was assigned at one point in time to the 36th District Court misdemeanor jury trial docket, which again, that's the busiest district court in Wayne County. So after, again, 5 years at the prosecutor's office, in 2009, I got my job as a referee. Again, Wayne Circuit Court is the busiest circuit court in the state of Michigan. So the child protection stuff that I do, and I just want to say, I'm trained as a family division referee. I've also received some cross training as a family domestic referee, and I've served in the criminal division, or worked in the criminal division as a prosecutor. So I think it's important to point out that Wayne Circuit Court has multiple divisions, and I have extensive experience in 3 of the 4 divisions. So, and again, in my current role, Wayne County sees about 40% of the state of Michigan's child protection matters. Extremely voluminous dockets, and I know that many that organize this event. I see you in my courtroom on a regular basis, so you can speak to the volume. But again, I'll hit the ground running day one, and again, I plan to serve with fairness and compassion and empathy. Thank you.
Thank you. The second question is, what do you see as the greatest obstacle for all members of society to access fair and equal justice? And I'd like to begin with Ms. Shandra Baker, please.
I think that the greatest, am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, thank you.
I think there are another number of obstacles. One is money. As we know, socioeconomic status plays a huge role in the justice system, not just the criminal justice system, but the civil justice system as well. In criminal system, at least you have a constitutional right to have an attorney. In the civil system, you don't have that right. So if you don't have money, you don't have anyone to advocate on your behalf. Also, with respect to bond issues, individuals who don't have money may not have enough to get out on offenses that frankly may not even be an issue of public safety. So there should be no reason that they are held. Those are 2 of the main reasons. And as I indicated earlier, also the mental health issue. Where are these individuals going? There is no place for most of these individuals to go and have mental health issues. And we see that just driving around, these individuals that are outside, and they end up in jail or either back out on the streets. And either they reoffend or basically they have no address, they have no way to get the proper medication, so they self-medicate many times on street drugs, which again is another issue. So I think there are numerous obstacles with respect to the criminal justice system and everything else with respect to systematic racism in our society.
Thank you. Nicholas Hathaway, could you answer the same question, please?
Absolutely. So I would go along with what Ms. Baker was saying. The biggest issue I see on a daily basis, presiding over my hearings and cases, is poverty. We have these families who are living in poverty, and they come before the court, and in many of the situations, I have to make decisions where I'm removing children from these homes and from these mothers and fathers. And what the court ultimately does is we set up a treatment plan, or the Department of Human Services actually asks the court to adopt a treatment plan for these families. But one of the major issues I see is that one, poverty is cyclical. Families and children who are born into poverty end up living in poverty themselves, and we need to figure out a better way to break that cycle. But again, we hold these families to the same standard as people who are not living in poverty. We expect mothers and fathers to get to court even though they don't have transportation or money for bus fare. We expect them to participate in psychological and psychiatric evaluations, even though they might be living on the streets. We expect them to make it to and from drug screening, again, even though they don't have transportation. And then when they don't do these things, ultimately, there are parties that hold these things against them. So I see that unfairness on a daily basis. These are issues that need to be addressed. And again, I want to be part of that solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shakira Hawkins, please.
I would just echo what Attorney Baker indicated. As an attorney, I see, well, obviously, there are plenty of people in society that manage to avoid the criminal justice system altogether. So it's not necessarily a sympathetic population that we're dealing with. Society kind of tends to think that, they're there because this is where they deserve to be. And that's obviously not always the case. Obviously, socioeconomic status has a lot to do with people coming before the courts. As does the lack of education, lack of jobs, lack of opportunities. You look at these stories out there now, these young people just making very poor decisions. I think that they need leadership, they need guidance, they need mentors, they need people in their lives to help them make better decisions as they enter adulthood. And unfortunately, all too soon, they enter the criminal justice system where it's a revolving door. Sorry. I think we need to do a better job of addressing the socioeconomic disparities, the racial disparities, helping the mentally ill. Everyone can't, get out of jail, report to probation. Do you know that this person knows how to take a bus? Do you know that this person, has housing or transportation, things like that? And then, of course, if they don't, they're violated and they end up right back behind bars. And I think that, we just have to stop this revolving door and need to do more to reach people and exercise compassion and help people become productive members of society. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mary Beth Kelly, please.
Okay, so I don't want to be repetitive, but I kind of want to put what's been said so far into two categories. And so there's access to justice and there's race equity issues. And I think that those are the two biggest obstacles in our justice system right now. I agree that it's not confined, if you will, to just the criminal justice system, that persons of low income, persons of medium income can't access our civil justice system. That includes landlord-tenant actions. It includes family domestic divorce actions. People can't afford to get divorced right now without losing substantial amounts of their 401ks, without losing their homes. So there's an access to justice issue, which is very pervasive in Wayne County. There are race equity issues, which no question are very pervasive in Wayne County. And the solution, I think, is that we need to collaborate better with the community, the Department of Community Health, which does have access to mental health issues, mental health treatment that we don't as a court. Our treatment courts are effective, but again, like Ms. Hawkins said, everyone can't get into them. So again, I think that we need to work as a court, as a collaborator with the other resources that Wayne County has to address mental health, to address access to justice. The federal government, the state government has made access to justice a priority. We have much better free legal aid systems in place, but we need to be able to guide people to those systems. And I think that we as a court can do that better, and we can collaborate better with particularly the mental health specialists that are out there and the community specialists that are out there. Mr. Hathaway is right. You can't expect parents who are living in poverty to make appointments on a basis that is something that as professionals we are accustomed to. But, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Francesco Simone, please. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry, but the length of those, can you repeat the question one more time for me? I think I misunderstood.
No problem. What do you see as the greatest obstacle for all members of society to access fair and equal justice?
Yeah, I'm going to differ from the other 5 answers primarily this way. I think the most compelling issue before us today is the quality of representation of the lawyers that are representing these people that cannot afford lawyer, right? Those that have money, they can go out and hire whoever they want. But those that are not of sound economic means are left with court-appointed lawyers or other assistant programs. And I know that Judge Kenny, the Chief Judge of the Circuit, is trying to address those issues, making sure that the quality of those on the court-appointed list are doing better jobs representing clients that can't afford representation. NDS has been just wonderful in the last year. They've improved the quality of lawyers that they hired there and their salaries, making them more of a vehicle for change. And I think that, and other than talking about it, you know, I've been living these kind of things when I come to plea bargains. For example, if a defendant cannot pay courts fines and costs, there are other methods and means to maybe do something differently, like alternative workforce. Maybe it's not reporting probation, maybe it's non-reporting probation. But those are the things that I've been doing every day and not just talking about them. Thank you.
The next question is, do you believe that there is disparate treatment with African Americans within a judicial system? If so, how are you going to combat the racial disparities in the legal system as a judge? And we can start with Ms. Shakira Hawkins. Ms. Hawkins, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Obviously, you know, as a Black woman, you know, the disparities in race are very stark for me. You know, I would remember sitting in court one day as 7 probation violators came out in their green jumpsuits, you know, all handcuffed. And I just, you know, this is modern day slavery and something needs to be done about it. You know, the system, again, is not working for everyone. And in particularly, it's not working for African Americans in society. You know, I'm a woman of color. You know, I live in the community. You know, to me, these are my neighbors, you know, my friends, my relatives. These are people that I know and see on a daily basis. It's not the other. It's not, you know, that I go home to some house, you know, in the suburbs and it's just, those are the people that I see when I go to work. These are people that I see on a daily basis. And, you know, my heart is pained by what I see. And as a judge, you know, I can, you know, appreciate that, you know, everybody doesn't have, you know, 2 parents in the household. Everyone doesn't have, you know, access to, you know, good education. You know, my son went to a private school. Everyone doesn't have that. You know, if you have a child that needs an, you know, has an IEP, which is an individualized educational plan, you know, and you yourself don't have an education, it's hard to fight and advocate for your child. And I think I see a lot of that, with the population of people that I help and serve as a criminal defense attorney. I would try to seek and look into people's background and see where the holes were that made them fall through the cracks, and try to shore that up and help them get job training, help them finish their education, find out what passions they have and what they want to do with their life, and try to help them seek those goals. I want to start a mentoring program so that people have, especially our youth, have access to people who have succeeded in life and who can provide guidance so that they don't find themselves in the revolving door of our criminal justice system. Thank you.
Nicholas Hathaway. You're muted. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yes. So my answer to that question is absolutely there are disparities in the system. So how do we correct these things? How do we change these things? What will I bring to the table if I'm elected? And I'll tell you that as a referee, again, I see families that are struggling with poverty on a daily basis. And I've also been part of doing trainings for the Department of Health and Human Services, new worker trainings. And what I like to tell these new workers who are going to be, providing testimony in court, I always tell them that, look, you're going to get overwhelmed with volume. There's going to be a lot of files on your desk, and it's very easy to go down the road of just looking at each file as just another file, as black and white words on paper. And I always tell them, you have to remember that you are not dealing with just pieces of paper. These are human beings that you're dealing with. And the decisions that you make and how you conduct your business is going to have an impact on that family's life. It may be only, or maybe one of 50 files on your desk, but that is that family's only file. So, of course, I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind that, when a party comes before the court, that information that's before the court, that does not encapsulate everything about that person and their life experiences. And that's the sort of judge that I want to be. We have to acknowledge the fact that implicit bias exists, and we have to make sure that we're doing everything possible by way of trainings and things of that nature to avoid going down those roads. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frank Simone.
Again, thank you for the question. I appreciate it. One of the pillars of my campaign, the most important pillar of my campaign, is criminal justice reform. And in that concept is the idea of getting away from, the easy thing is, and we've heard this kind of cliche comment before, is, put them in jail and throw the key away. And to be candid with you, a number of my colleagues over the years have had that kind of mentality. So I think it's important to get away from that and to think about other programs that are available, because the majority of the people that come before me since my tenure in the Wayne County community is people of color. And it's something that is a serious issue. But those other programs that are available, like diversion and veterans court and sobriety court and drug court, those are the things that we have to get into our minds and deal with. And those are the kind of things and programs that when I fashion a plea agreement is at the top of my list to do something other than throwing the key away. Another thing is this, and I'm surprised that the other members of this committee have not talked about it, or the candidates, to get away from mandatory sentencing. These felony firearm convictions primarily go to those of color, right? And most of you that don't know, if you have a prior possession of cocaine, which is a felony, and then 5 years later, 10 years later, you have a gun and you thought, because someone told you that it was okay to open carry, and you haven't had that prior conviction expunged, you are now facing a trifecta: felony possession, CCW, and felony firearm. That is a mandatory 2 years in prison. I'm amazed that other people don't talk about those issues. At the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, we meet every Wednesday, and we have for the last 10 years, dealing with gun cases, trying to get away from those mandatory criminal sentences. And I'm proud of that work that I've done. I'm not talking about it, I've done it.
Thank you. Ms. Mary Beth Kelly.
So as I've acknowledged already, there's no question that there is racial disparity, and it shows up in numerous places in our justice system, in our criminal justice system. It is most obvious, I think. In terms of what I would do as a judge is what I have been doing as a judge in the past. I think that the disproportional impact on minorities starts, like Nick knows, in our juvenile courts. So we have to treat our young people of color differently. We have to recognize that they are children. I wrote the dissenting opinion for the Supreme Court in People versus Karp, which our United States Supreme Court later adopted, that every juvenile offender who's been incarcerated is entitled to an individualized hearing. And again, I feel very, very strongly that this disproportionality, which again starts in juvenile court and then continues into our adult system, is something that I've worked on for decades. It is also in other parts of our criminal justice system. The treatment courts, yes, the treatment courts, no question, are an effective tool, but we need to expand those. And as I said earlier, we need to collaborate with people. We need to collaborate with the other stakeholders that can provide those issues. This is something that I've done, not just talked about it, I've done it, and I'll continue to do it. I think we definitely need training on implicit bias. There are some jurisdictions that train all their judges. That's not something that I think Wayne County has done in the past, something that I'm very much in favor for. But I think that there's no question that poverty plays a role, and the urgency and the momentum of the movement of Black Lives Matters right now is something that our court really needs to take hold of, because Black Lives Matters reaches far beyond police brutality, and it reaches issues which affect our court system. And those are the issues that we as a court can be dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chandra Baker. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There are definitely disparities. I've been working down in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office for nearly 13 years. I do believe that the African American community is probably 33% of Wayne County. Probably 85 to 90% of my defendants have been people of color. I think there has been a task force that was created by Governor Whitmer. It's tasked by Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist and Supreme Court Justice McCormick. It looked into the jail and the pretrial incarceration and found that our jails in the last 40 years, I believe it is, have increased by threefold, but not the crime rate. And that's because a lot of these low-level offenses individuals are arrested on. If you have violated or if you have not paid child support, then there is your license are suspended. And when you're pulled over, that's an arrestable offense. So I think as a judge, and of course, those are legislative issues, but as a judge, we can be involved in task force that talks about these things and indicate how these things need to be changed. And as a sitting judge, I can start with the bail or the bond issues. Anybody that's before me that has a charge that is not an assaultive charge, or it's not having an issue with the community, that they're not going to be a risk to the community, should be out. They should be out. Those are individuals that should not be held in the courts. Mental health individuals should not be held in the courts. There should be facilities where these individuals are held. So many people are held for days waiting on their cases to come up just because they can't afford it. Sentencing is another issue. Everybody should be sentenced fairly. As you know, the sentencing guidelines have been determined to be unconstitutional. So it's up to the judge to make a decision with respect to the sentencing. And I think that needs to be fairly distributed.
Thank you. The next question has two parts. What do you think is the solution to implicit bias? And as a judge, You're going to be presiding over cases with people from diverse backgrounds. Can you discuss why you believe you are qualified to do that? We'll begin with Ms. Carolyn Hawkins. You're muted.
Yeah, you need to unmute.
Okay, I'm
Mrs.
sorry. There was some background noise. Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What do you think is the solution to implicit bias? And as a judge, you're going to be presiding over cases with people from diverse backgrounds. Could you discuss why you believe you are qualified to do that?
Yes, thank you. You know, I was born and raised in Detroit, but I've gone to private schools my whole life. I have intermixed and intermingled with people of diverse backgrounds and nationalities. You know, I have friends that weren't born in America. And as a Black woman of color, obviously, you know, I think I'm going to be very frank. I think that diversity on the bench is where we need to start. I'm not saying that there aren't people who that, you know, you can only judge people that look like you. I'm not saying that at all. I think there are some great judges who are white and male on the bench at Frank Murphy who, you know, do an excellent job, and they are fair. But I think that, you know, diversity does matter. And obviously I would bring that to the bench, you know, along with, you know, past elections. I think that we are moving in the right direction and making a more diverse bench that's more reflective of our community. But I think we still have a long way to go. You know, I come from a family where we represent every shade. There's people of different nationalities in my family. Implicit bias and racism is not something that, you know, I can ever be accused of. You know, I love everyone. I'm here to help everyone. I'm here to represent everyone and to make our system of justice fair for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shandra Baker, please.
Yes, well, being, again, a woman, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Being a minority woman, number one, I've had an opportunity. I grew up in the city of Detroit, as Ms. Hawkins did, attended Detroit Public Schools, graduated from Cass Tech, went to law school at Wayne State, where I had an opportunity to read and study and be in different groups with individuals of different nationalities to learn about their cultures and their thoughts and their different ways of thinking about different subjects. And I think that as a judge, you have to be open to listen. You have to be unbiased, and you have to start on that bench with a clear mind and listen to both sides of it, what individuals think about certain topics or why they think they should get whatever it is they're looking for. And I think that as long as you're open to that and open to different ways of thinking, that you will be able to be fair and just. And that's what I want to do, is be fair and just on that bench, as I have been as a prosecutor in dealing with defendants and their issues and their cases.
Thank you. Ms. Mary Beth Kelly, please.
So I think that implicit bias is something that we definitely have to recognize, we have to work on. As a woman, again, I'm not a woman of color, but as a woman, it's something that I recognize, that bias is something that people have to work on and they have to recognize it. Why do I think that I can be a judge and implicit bias will not get in the way? Because I think I have a pretty strong history of that. Speaking of bail, for example, right now, when a probationer comes in front of me on an arraignment or on a violation of probation issue, the first thing I ask is, do you have a job? If the person has a job, there's no reason to keep them in jail. If it's a technical violation, there's no reason to keep them in jail. If it's not an assault of offense, no reason to keep them in jail. So I'm very much with Ms. Baker on that question. I do believe that I have had the experience of working in so many divisions of the court and at the Supreme Court. I think that my opinions speak to my ability to work past bias issues. I once was solely responsible for remanding an issue to a criminal judge, a white male criminal judge, who told an 18-year-old young man that if he accepted a plea, he would not be incarcerated. When the young man went back for sentencing, he incarcerated him for 6 months. And I absolutely argued to the Supreme Court and got 4 of my colleagues to agree that that case had to be reversed because the faith in our judicial system depended on it. If someone said in open court to a young man, "This is what I will do," then that's what he had to do. And needless to say, that case involved an 18-year-old young man of color who had very little means, very little experience in life. And again, that is a cohort, if you will, that I have always focused on. I led a statewide task force.
Mary Beth, the time is up. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. Francesco Simone, please.
Thank you again. And Stephanie, it's Francesco.
Okay, thank you.
Or Frank would be easier.
Sure.
So like I said earlier, I've been trying cases since 2001 in Wayne County Circuit Court. And I'll say this, I think that the current bench is wonderful. There are a number of judges of color on the circuit court docket. In fact, the 5 courtrooms over the years that I've been able to supervise, those courtrooms have been of color. A majority of them, 3 of the 5 have always been of Black. They've been wonderful judges. I don't know what's in their hearts. When I look at their decisions, do I think there's implicit bias? I don't see it. I don't see it. If I did, I would not be afraid to address it with them. And I think when we're talking about this topic, and we're all gung-ho about, this and that, we got to remember that Black on Black violence, that you got to remember that in the courtroom, in the back, sitting in the pews, is going to be an African-American family that was a victim of crime. So their rights are just as important to be taken into account when you're deciding what to do with a particular case. Sure, it's easy to say now, let's reduce the bond. But if that person has a drug problem and is of color, the place he's going to go back to is the family where he came from. He's going to go into do things that are going to steal from them, support that drug habit. So their rights are also very, very important. Again, talk comes easy, action's very difficult.
Mr. Nicholas John Hathaway, please.
Yeah, thank you. So the question was about implicit bias, and I think that the first important step with implicit bias is simple acknowledgement that it exists. We all have to acknowledge that it exists, and as a judge, you have to acknowledge that you may have implicit bias. And I will tell you that as a Third Circuit referee, I've already participated in some implicit bias trainings that the court has put on. And I will tell you that if you were to come down and observe my courtroom and see how I treat people, I think that the most important thing a judge can do is to listen. Of course, every single case is different. As much as there are similarities in Wayne County being so voluminous, you're going to deal with a lot of cases that have similarities, but there are nuances to every case. And again, you have to make sure that you give all parties a fair and equal opportunity to plead their case before the court. And of course, as a referee and and as a judge as well, you're never going to be able to make everyone happy. But I will tell you that I believe that the majority of people that walk out of my courtroom on a daily basis will tell you that although they may not have agreed with the decision, that they got an opportunity to plead their case and to speak their piece. And I think that that's a big part of it. But do I think that we need to continue on with additional implicit bias trainings? Absolutely. We need more education on the subject matter for certain. Thank you.
And I'll turn this over to my co-moderator.
Thank you. What legal, civic, and community organizations are you actively involved in? And we will start with Miss Mary Beth Kelly.
Hey, I'm sorry, the question trailed off a little bit. What legal organizations am I involved in?
Legal, civic, or any community organizations you are involved in.
Thank you. Okay, so I am the co-chair of the American Bar Association's WIDER, which is Women in Dispute Resolution for the Great Lakes region, which involves 4 of states around the Great Lakes. And I'm involved with that. I sit on the board of directors of Vista Maria, and I have been involved with Vista Maria as either an advisor or a board member for at least 20 years. I am involved in the several, again, juvenile justice initiatives. The University of Michigan has created a data lab to create a database that has real and meaningful data that can drive grants, if you will. A lot of foundations need data to drive grants. And so I'm a founding member of U of M's Juvenile and Adolescent Data Lab. And I was, again, the chairperson of the Michigan Committee on Juvenile Justice for 5 years. So that kind of sums up civic organizations. I have been, I've had leadership roles within my church in the past, not presently in a leadership role within my church, but that I would say sums it up.
Thank you. Ms. Shandra Baker.
Thank you. I am a member of the Detroit Bar Association. I'm a member of the Black Women Lawyers Association. I'm a member of the Wolverine Bar Association. As far as community service, I attend Grace Community Church, and I am a Sunday school teacher for Grace Kids. I have also participated in a program called SOAR, which is a reading program that was started out of our church that is now expanded to Detroit Public Schools, as well as other churches. And what that program is for individuals that, children that are third graders. The studies have shown that if they're not reading at grade level by that time, that generally the outcome may not look as good for them with respect to their education, even respect to the school to jail pipeline. So what it is a program for third graders to bring their reading level up to reading level. Many of those children end up reading at grade level and beyond once they go through the program, and it is staffed by volunteers. And I have done that program. I'm not currently doing it right now. I did it a few years ago. I've also been a part of a program called Save Kids of Incarcerated Parents. I did that program back in 2004 to 2008, won the Volunteer of the Year Award in 2008. I did that program at Pastor Carlisle Fielding Stewart's Church in Southfield when I attended at that time. Let's see, I'm also a board member of the Citadel Community Development Corporation, which is a part of Citadel Community Church. And what it is programming for youth. They provide transitional housing, also other transitional programs for individuals coming out of prison or who have had drug issues or mental health issues. They also provide programming as well. So I sit on that board as well. So I do quite a bit of community service. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frank Simone.
Thank you, Stephanie. On top of my daily requirements as being an assistant Wayne County prosecutor, I also sit on the Wayne County retirement system as a trustee or a commissioner. I've been on that board since 2016. I was elected, and then I was reelected in 2019. I was chair of the Wayne County retirement system, and then vice chair. I also sit part of our church downriver here, and it's called Our Lady of the Woods. I'm active in our church there. And then I'm also very active paying tuition for my son that's going to Michigan State, and that my daughter just graduated from Monroe Community College.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I am a member of Moms Demand Action, which is an organization devoted to common sense gun control. You know, we believe that, we believe in the we have no problem with the Second Amendment, but just like cars are regulated, we think that guns should be regulated because unfortunately, people in our society don't always use them in a responsible manner. And with common sense gun control and regulations, I think that we can reduce the instances of mass shootings and things of that nature to make our community safer. In addition to Moms Demand Action, I am a proud member of the Wayne County Criminal Defense Bar Association. I believe we're the largest provider of public defender services in Wayne County. And by and large, the vast majority of the members do an excellent job for very little pay, for very little thanks in society, but we do what we need to do to help others. I'm also a member of the NAACP, and I also attend Grace Community Church like Chandra Baker. And in the past, I have worked for several years as a Sunday school teacher, in addition to for several years also tutoring in SOAR. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Hathaway.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm a member of the Michigan Association for Justice. I'm also a member of the NAACP. I was part of the Third Circuit Court Family Juvenile Division Best Practices Committee, in which we had the job of coming up with a manual for the judges and referees in the juvenile division as far as best practices go with regard to completion of juvenile delinquency matters and child protection hearings. I'm the son of a retired public school teacher, so I am active. My kids are public school kids. I'm active with my kids' public schools, and certainly it would not be uncommon to see me throughout Wayne County at various Democratic clubs. Been out to, of course, to I think all of the major spots in Wayne County: Wyandotte, Grosse Ile, Canton, Plymouth, Grosse Pointe, Detroit, Taylor, Dearborn. So that is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to turn it over to Andre White, who will ask some questions from our Facebook page.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so
Dr.
we
Ron,
have some
right?
questions
Everybody
that are
knows.
actively coming in during this forum, and I am going to go ahead and ask some of these questions. The first one that came up was to Mary Beth Kelly, which is, what was your role in the suppression file in 2006, and what was done to restore the 1.1 million jury service to jurors, potential jurors?
Okay, when you say the suppression file in 2006, I don't know what you're referring to. So could you give me more detail as to what that is?
Anyone have any? This is the question that came up from one of the viewers.
Okay, in 2006, I was the chief judge of the Wayne County Circuit Court. There was no, quote, suppression file to my knowledge. So I think that the question is assuming facts that are not accurate. There was, at that time, we were working with the National Center for State Courts to improve diversity within the Wayne County jury system, but there certainly was nothing called a suppression file. And there was certainly nothing that came to my attention or to anyone's attention, to my knowledge, about money due jurors. So again, I don't know the nature of the facts that led to that question, but I would suggest that that person should investigate what they're talking about, because again, it's not something that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. The second question is to Robert Burton Harris. And the question is, why did you recently change your name to Hathaway?
So that question would be for me. This is Nick Hathaway. Yeah. So yes, I'm very proud to say that that I took my wife's name. It was a decision that we made within our family after we had decided that we were done having children. You know, the Hathaway name is incorporated in all of my children's name, and I made the decision, you know, with my family to do that sometime last year. But it's something that we had been talking about for a long time.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And the third question is to Frank Simone, and it says, do you think that court-appointed attorneys are not doing a good job?
Absolutely not. I'm not saying that at all. And a lot of them are my good friends. I think there are, let me put it this way, they're overworked and underpaid. That's what I think is the problem with that. And you know, Wayne County, if you look in the Tri-County area, the fees that they pay to counsel, improper counsel or counsel is way less than you get in Oakland County or Macomb County or, you know, all other counties surrounding the Wayne County area. So that was my point. You can get a good court-appointed letter better than a paid one sometimes.
Okay, thank you. And the fourth one, well, this one is, well, okay, the fourth one is to Chandra Baker. And this question is, what did you do while you were a prosecutor to reduce racism and disparity in the justice system?
I can't hear you.
I'm hearing some static. So if somebody has, if everybody could mute unless you're being asked a question, I'm hearing, it sounds like some outside noise.
Okay, can you hear me any better?
I can hear you better now.
Can you hear me any better now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, and the question is, what did you do while you were a prosecutor to reduce racism and disparity in the justice system?
Okay, I'll give you an example of one of my recent cases. And you might have seen this on the news. There were a rash of arsons that were happening in the city of Detroit at some abandoned buildings. And at the same time, there was a serial rapist that was out that was raping individuals, prostitutes, basically. And there was a lady who was arrested for the serial arsons. She did admit to them. She was a young lady, Black, from approximately 21, 22 years old, had actually had some college, had come here from California, was supposed to be headed to Ohio, but got involved with a guy and ended up here in Michigan and ended up kind of out on drugs and then prostitution. She was the one that was burning these homes. And basically her reason was because safety issues, because the city wasn't tearing the homes down and she felt it was a safety issue. When the police brought me the warrant, they wanted me to sign that warrant for three arson of a dwelling, which are 20-year offenses, which would make her automatically prisonable. But the statute requires that the home has to be lived in or could have been lived in. I asked them to bring me the pictures of those homes because they weren't completely burned. Those homes were dilapidated, boarded up. They were already abandoned homes. And I refused to sign a warrant for that. And I signed it for a building instead, which made her in a straddle cell, which means she could get probation, she could get jail, or she could get prison. Me and the defense attorney, Tyrone Baker, worked with Judge Prentice Edwards, and we got her into a drug treatment program. And so that is what I did in my position to make a difference with my people.
Okay, thank you very much. And then that same question addressed to Frank Simone also, what have you done while you're a prosecutor to reduce racism and disparity in the criminal justice system?
Again, thank you for that question. I think it's really, really important. And remember that there is a victim in assaultive crimes. There's a victim's family in the back of the courtroom too. They're probably of color. So that's important. But let me talk to what I've done the last 10 years, not just on one case. All right. So every Wednesday, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office has a gun committee that we meet on Wednesdays. And a great vast, I would say about 85% of those cases that come to the gun committee are of defendants of color. And I have been a proponent of that we have to get out from underneath these mandatory sentences of 2 years for felony firearm. And I've been doing that way before I decided to run for judge, all right? That started in 2010. And it happens every Wednesday for the last 10 years. And 1 year I did 1,700 cases that I brought personally to the gun board. And about 85% of them were defendants of color, actively doing it, not talking about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
we're gonna let Nick Hathaway do his closing remarks, since I know he said he had to leave, and we want you to weave in your endorsements. We're gonna be asking that of all the candidates. So if you could just do your closing remarks, you'll have 2 minutes.
Robin, thank you for accommodating my schedule. So yes, again, I'm running for judge. I do have some key endorsements. I've been endorsed by our Attorney General, Dana Nessel. I've been endorsed by the Wayne County Sheriff, Benny Napoleon. I've been endorsed by the Wayne County Treasurer, Eric Sabri. I've been endorsed by more than 30 judges throughout Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. I was recently endorsed by the UAW. I have the Building and Construction Trades Council, got local iron workers and some other union support. I have the Femmes for Dems candidate approval. I've been endorsed by the Grosse Pointe Democratic Club, the Plymouth Democratic Club, and I'm grateful for all of those endorsements, of course, and I'm very proud of those endorsements. But I like to always point out and just say, just put those things aside. At my core, I'm running for judge because I believe I have the experience to be a good judge, but I also have the desire to be a good judge. Again, if you were to talk to the people that come in my courtroom on a daily basis, they will tell you that I treat people fairly, that I treat people like human beings, that I treat people with respect. Again, I can't say it enough. I want to be part of, restoring faith in our justice system, and I want to be part of the solution, so that, again, I've got young children. I've got an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and when my kids are my age, I don't want to be having some of the same conversations with them. And it all starts here. We are at a pivotal point in our society where we can either use this opportunity to springboard for common sense change, or we've squandered an opportunity. And again, I want to be part of that change. So you can check out my website, www.hathawayforjudge.com. I also have a social media presence. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as well. So please reach out with any questions. I respond to all questions that are submitted. So I'll do my best to. And thank you for organizing the event today. I appreciate the time. And I also want to say best of luck to all of the other candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Boback, Attorney Boback, I just wanted to thank you for also participating in this forum. However, I did want to piggyback. Thank you for giving your closing, but I did want to piggyback on that question that was posed to the two current prosecutors. I know you were a former prosecutor, and if you have time, I want you to answer that question also, is what did you do while you were a former prosecutor and a current referee to reduce racism and disparity in the justice system? If you can answer that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be brief. Again, you know what? At the end of the day, whether you're a prosecutor or a judge, it really goes about making sure that you're doing your due diligence, and making sure that that you're not jumping to conclusions, making sure that you're investigating a file fully, and trying to scratch beneath the surface level. Unfortunately, today we've fallen in the trap of only having surface level conversations. And as a prosecutor, I tried to be thorough. As a referee, I certainly try to be thorough. As I've stated already, it's so important to make sure that we are not coming to conclusions about folks just based upon the papers that are before the court. And I had that mindset as a prosecutor. I have that mindset as a referee, and I hope to have that mindset as a judge as well. So thanks, Rita, for the question.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hathaway. So I see as far as time, we've got about 14 minutes left. I think we probably should just go ahead with the remaining candidates and give you all, as we gave with Mr. Hathaway, a couple of minutes to do your closing. And we want you to weave into your closing to let the audience know who's endorsing you, and also let us know, or let the audience know, if they want to support you, where they need to go on social media. And if we could we'll start with Mary Beth Kelly.
However, I'm sorry to interrupt, but one question for you, Mary Beth Kelly, from the public, because I want to make sure we have a lot of people watching.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure these are the voters that are going to be voting for you all. So we want to make sure their questions, at least many of their questions, are honored. For you, Judge Mary Beth Kelly, why did you leave the Supreme Court?
Right. So I left the Supreme Court in 2015. And as I publicly said at the time, I was elected in 2010 at a time when, if you'll recall, the Supreme Court was not very civil. And that's kind of putting it nicely. Factions on the court were not talking to each other. And I was asked to run for the Supreme Court really on the platform of civility. You can bring civility to the Supreme Court. You're a bridge between different sides, between different parties. And I knew that I could do that, but I said, I have a bigger platform. I think that the Supreme Court grants leave. Of course, you can't get to the Supreme Court without the Supreme Court granting leave. And the types of cases that the Supreme Court granted leave on typically involved commercial disputes or insurance disputes. So we didn't see family cases getting to the Supreme Court. We didn't see juvenile cases getting to the Supreme Court. And that was very important to me. So I served on the court from the time I was elected and took office January 1st of 2011, and then through the end of the term into October of 2015. And those objectives really had been met. With the additions of Justice Zara and now Chief Justice McCormick, civility was clearly accomplished. There was no question about that. And the scope of cases that the Supreme Court took, that was clearly accomplished. I was anxious to get back to private practice. At that time, I was the mother of a single son who was looking at college choices. I'm now proud to say I'm the mother of a son who just graduated from Kalamazoo College. And it was important to me to get back into the private practice. I wanted to focus on mediation and alternative dispute resolution. And then, of course, I was asked in 2018 by Chief Judge Colombo to serve as a visiting judge in the Wayne County Circuit Court, which led me back to the Circuit Court. And it was really then through that action, I realized how much I loved and missed that court so much. So, but that's why I left the Supreme Court, was honored to serve there and felt like I made a very meaningful and impactful contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now again, I see we have 11 minutes, so we're going to go back to closings for everyone. And if you guys could weave in your endorsements, and we will turn to, we'll start with Frank Simone.
Thank you, Robin. It's been a great afternoon. I appreciate you guys doing this. So let me say one thing that I hope the people watching understand. The two positions that are open, one is Judge Strong, who's in the civil division, not the juvenile division, that opening, and Judge Boykin, who is in the criminal division, again, not the juvenile division of the Circuit Court of Wayne County. My endorsements: Teamsters, POAM, Ask Me, 324 operating engineers, iron workers, building trades, Right to Life, Kim Worthy, Mayor of River Rouge, Mayor of Melvindale, Alicia Bell from the Wayne County Retirement System, and a number of other ones that are out there. I think it's important to realize that, as I said earlier in my opening comments, I am not the son of a lawyer. I am not the son of a judge. I'm first generation born in this country, in the state of Michigan, in Wayne County. No one's ever handed me anything because my last name is Simone. Anything that I've accomplished in my life is by the guidance that my parents gave me. And the other thing is my hard work. That's why the things that I've accomplished in my life, no one's ever said to you, oh, you're Simone, here you go. And you know, there's that old saying about call something, something, or call malarkey when you see malarkey. Well, look at, on the back of my platform here, you see that's my birth certificate. My name on the ballot appears as it did when I was born. My name is reflected on the ballot as it was given to me when I was born. I didn't have any family decisions to try to make my name more acceptable to the Wayne County voting republic, or trying to fool people that who I am is not who I am. I'm here because I know that I can make a difference. It's been my privilege to serve my entire professional career for the last 34 years. You can ask any defensive lawyer, any prosecutor, any police officer, any victim of crime that's come before me. They can tell you what kind of person I am. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, I'm fair, I'm honest, and I'm hardworking. I'll bring integrity back to the court. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And if we could go with Ms. Shakira Hawkins.
Thank you. I'm running on a platform of change. I think that, you know, for far too long, too many people have fallen through the cracks, and it's my platform to help those. I want to eliminate cash bail. I want to utilize more restorative justice programs. I think that we should put an end to truth in sentencing and mandatory minimum sentencing. I would like to mentor at-risk youth, and I think that we should have more programs for the mentally ill. You know, I am running for the people. And in fact, when I was seeking signatures, you know, the grandmother of one of my clients got over 800 signatures for me, you know, because she believed in me that much. You know, many of my former clients would gratefully have offered to help in my campaign. I did not, you know, I'm a novice. I don't come from a family of people that have, you know, run for judge numerous times. There are things that I would certainly do differently if I had to do over again. And one of those is maybe seeking endorsements. You know, apparently, you know, they're very important and they matter. I do have some. I'm endorsed by the Black Slate Incorporated and the Fannie Lou Hamer Political Action Committee. And beyond that, I didn't seek out a lot of endorsements simply because, you know, the average person, the everyday person, the voters out there, a lot of those are disconnected and don't necessarily look to those or types of organizations for guidance when it comes to voting. And, you know, and I'm just trying to reach the people. And again, you know, maybe I would do something differently the next time, but, you know, I'm where I'm at. I'm running to make a difference. I want safer communities. I want to help the accused become productive members of society. And I hope that people will vote for me and give me that chance. I think that we need new blood and new people in office to make a positive difference and to make a change. I think others have had they've had long enough. And now it's time to welcome new people into at the table and to see what kind of a difference they can make. Thank you.
All right, and then Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. Okay, let me just, I just want to correct something, if you will. So the two openings, it doesn't matter what judge is leaving, openings will be assigned by seniority. So the two new judges that the citizens elect in November, those judges will be assigned by seniority. They won't necessarily be assigned to the criminal division or to the civil division based on who's leaving. I just want voters to understand that's how that works. Again, my platform, I think, is pretty clear. I definitely have the experience for this job. I've done this job very well. I think it's important that people know that along with Ms. Baker, I'm the only other candidate that the Detroit Bar Association rated as outstanding. And I'm very proud of that. And I think that's a very important distinction to have earned. In terms of endorsements, I'm an independent judge. Independence in the judiciary is extremely important to me, having served on the Supreme Court. I have the endorsements only of nonpartisan, that is judicial persons right now. Whether or not after the primary I would seek other endorsements, not sure. But the Chief Justice, Bridget McCormick, endorses me. The Chief Judge Pro Tem of the Supreme Court, David Viviano, endorses me. Numerous judges within Wayne County Circuit Court who work with me every day endorse me. So again, I believe it's very important to maintain the independence of the judiciary. And for that reason, I have not sought partisan endorsements. I plainly could have. And again, I believe that there are elected officials within Wayne County who in the primary, if that becomes important, I may get their endorsement. My record speaks for itself. Please visit my website, marybethkelly4judge.com. 4 is spelled out, it's not the number, so it's marybethkelly4judge.com. I don't do Facebook, if you will, it's just not something that I do. So, but please, you can leave messages on the website and I'll get back to you. I thank you so much for this opportunity this afternoon.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kelly. And then Ms. Baker.
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank the Black women lawyers for this venue and an opportunity to speak to the voters. I think there was a comment made about the one case that I brought up. Since we only had 2 minutes, I had to give the person who asked the question an opportunity to see what I had done as a prosecutor. But that has been my reputation throughout my career, which is why I'm supported by the Criminal Defense Bar, which I think is a lot to say for a prosecutor, which is by Attorney Luther Glenn. And I do have his support. And if you do check my Facebook page, as well as my website and link, you will find that I am supported not only by Luther Glenn, who's the president of the Defense Bar, but numerous defense attorneys as a prosecutor. So I think that speaks highly of the fact that I will be a fair and just jurist on the bench. I am endorsed by the 14th Congressional District. I am the only judge endorsed by the 14th Congressional District. I am endorsed by the UAW Region 1 and Region 1A. And I sought those endorsements because those are the people that are out there that will come before you, the working people, the people that want to know who's on their bench. And I am endorsed by Fannie Lou Hamer. I am endorsed by the Black Slate. I am endorsed by the Detroit Bar Association, where I received the rating of outstanding as Attorney Mary Beth Kelly, or Judge Mary Beth Kelly has also indicated. I'm endorsed by the Grassroots Caucus, and I'm also endorsed by Kim Worthy. I would also indicate that there was a statement made about the bench, the criminal bench, having quite a few minority judges. Well, let me indicate to you, the Third Circuit is more than just the criminal bench. It's the civil bench, it's the juvenile bench, it's the family division. My understanding is there are really two judges of color on the civil bench, and there are none in the family division. And there are two, I believe, in the juvenile division. So with respect to the entire Third Circuit bench, there is not a lot of judges of color. And I do think that we need to have other individuals on this bench that come from the community and respect the community and will be fair to the community. My website is www.bakerforblindjustice.com. And I look for your vote, please, on August the 4th, 2020. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. Again, we just, as I was talking at the beginning, we just found out about John Lewis. I've met him several times, and he was a champion for justice, and our organization is committed to justice. So that's why we have these kind of forums. We think that the public has a right to know about the candidates that are running for office, and making sure that social justice is a part of that platform. I'm going to turn it back to our president, Rita White, for closing remarks. And we are looking to do another forum, possibly a prosecutorial candidates forum. So just look out for the notices, and everybody have a blessed day. So I'm going to turn it back to Madam President Rita White. And I want to thank our moderators, Stephanie and Khadijah, for stepping up to the plate to be moderators for this event. And also the Honorable Judge Kamisha Gant for coming in and giving remarks and being a part of our planning committee. So I'll turn it back to Madam President Rita White.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Excuse me, before Rita starts, can I say something else? One thing, I forgot to list my website. It's Hawkins for Judge, and for is spelled out Hawkins, FOR, Judge2020.com. Thank you.
Okay, repeat that one more time.
I am on Facebook and Instagram, but I do have a website. It is HawkinsForJudge2020.com, and for is spelled out.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for participating in this forum. We are very, very happy to host this forum. As we see, absentee ballots have already gone out, and really knowledge is power. Knowledge is everything, and knowledge, you need to know who you're voting for and what they're going to bring to the table in terms of supporting and really helping our community in terms of judicial rights and fair and equal rights. Now, Black women lawyers, we do plan to hold a part 2 of this judicial forum, so we can more so send out more of the public questions that have come out on the platform. As we see, there's a lot of interested people that really want to know who the candidates are and what they are going to provide to our community upon taking the bench. So if you do have questions and you plan to participate in part 2, please email us your questions ahead of time, so we will be prepared to know which questions we would like to fend. And please email us at BWLAM Michigan, BWLAM, just MICHIGAN at gmail.com. And then we can start reviewing the questions before the before the actual next part 2 panel discussion. Also, we have, this is a live stream, and I plan to post this live stream on our website. So if you have friends or people in the community that are still curious to learn about our candidates who have agreed to participate in our panel, please refer them to our website so they can look at this and watch this panel discussion so they can get to know all of you candidates. So I appreciate all of you, and I hope you continue to fight for everything in your positions, and we will hopefully be seeing you soon in the early coming weeks for a part 2. Thank you so much, everyone.
And
Thank you. Good luck.
Yes, thank you all for agreeing to do this, taking time out of your schedule. So again, have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you,
one.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.